Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And while there's many videos out there on how to spot fake Pokemon games, I've decided that today I'm gonna put in my own input and teach you guys how to spot fake Pokemon games and buy real ones. Let's get started. The Gen 3 games are pretty easy to spot fakes for. The first giveaway would be the color of the cartridge. Ruby should be a crimson color, Sapphire a deep blue, almost navy, Emerald a dark green color, Fire Red a red-orange, and Leaf Green should be a lighter green shade than the cartridge of Emerald. If you see any of these Pokemon games in a gray cartridge, they're fake. The cartridge should also be see-through when held up against the light. And also, on the front of the cartridge, make sure there's embossed text above the label that reads Game Boy Advance and an arrow pointing down below. Now, if the cartridge color matches up with the game, the next thing you can look at is the game's label. Check for mistakes like misspellings or different fonts on the label. Check the Pokemon logo, the ESRB rating, the Pokemon Company logo, the Nintendo logo, and the official Nintendo seal of approval, which is oval for North America, but a circle for PAL regions. And also don't forget to check the game's product code. Last things to check for on the front of the cartridge are that the label has a holographic effect to it. And also, somewhere on the label, there should be two pairs of a series of either numbers and letters. I believe these can be random, so it doesn't matter what combo it is, it just matters that they're there. Now, in this copy of Emerald, you can see that series of numbers and letters. Right near the right corner of the sticker label, you can see the number 15, and then the letter E with a 4. There are a few things you can check on the back of the cartridge. First thing is that the screw used on the cartridge should be a tri-wing screw, not anything else. You can also check for misspellings or different fonts on the Nintendo logo and check that the game's product code matches up. And finally, if you peek through the bottom of the cartridge, you should be able to see white text on the circuit board that has the Nintendo logo and the game's product code. Now, for the average prices of these games on the online market, both Ruby and Sapphire can go for around $60 to $90. Pokemon Emerald goes for $100 to $200, and finally, Fire Red and Leaf Green both go for around $90 to $250. On to the Gen 4 games, and for the purpose of this video, we'll talk about Heart Gold and Soul Silver along with the Gen 5 games. It'll make sense when we get there. Now, the Sinnoh games are going to be the most difficult to spot fakes for, but there's still a couple of things you can look for, starting with the front of the cartridge. As mentioned in the Gen 3 games section, check for any misspellings or incorrect fonts on the game's label. Things like the Pokemon logo, the ESRB rating, the Pokemon Company logo, the Nintendo logo, and the official Nintendo seal of approval. Make sure the game's unique code is correct. That's the series of numbers and letters in the lower right corner. Now, on the back of the cartridge, you should see the Nintendo logo and NTR-005 pat penned. And it should look slightly embossed, but it shouldn't look too carved in. If the text looks too carved into the cartridge, then it's a fake. Underneath, there should be black text with the game's unique code. Now, if this is missing, it doesn't mean that you have a fake cartridge, it just could mean that it's been rubbed off. Make sure the pins on the circuit board are gold and that there's a series of numbers and letters printed on. And last, look at the top of the cartridge. Now, I don't have an English copy of any of the Sinnoh games, so we're going to use this Japanese Platinum as an example. There should be a rectangular indent. It can vary in length, but a fake game will have this indent missing and be smooth. Now, for price averages online, both Diamond and Pearl go around for $35 to $50, and Platinum goes for around $70 to $100. Now, unlike the Sinnoh games, these are going to be really easy to spot fakes for. The reason why I'm including Heart Gold and Soul Silver with the Gen 5 games is because they both use infrared technology. And because of this, their cartridges are black instead of the usual gray of DS cartridges. So if your copy is a black cartridge, then it's real, as most fakes of these games are going to be a gray cartridge. And if you still want to double check your game, then you can just follow the same steps as the Sinnoh games mentioned before. Prices for these set of games are the most expensive, with Heart Gold and Soul Silver going around $80 to $130, Black and White going for $60 to $80, and its sequels going for $100 to $150. No one's really making fakes of 3DS games, so you don't have to worry for any fake 3DS Pokemon games. But if you're curious about prices, these games don't go for absurd prices. X and Y go around for $30 each, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire go for around $30 each as well, Sun and Moon go for around $20, and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon go around $30 to $40. Some final tips I want to mention are that if you encounter box versions of Pokemon games, make sure they're legitimate, because people do reprint boxes, and be careful as to not buy just a box of a Pokemon game. And obviously, any legitimate complete in-box games are going to go for way more than the average prices I listed. Buying online should be your last resort, and make sure it's from trusted websites like eBay, and make sure you check to see if the seller is trustworthy. I really recommend checking out yard sales or even Facebook Marketplace. You can get really lucky and come across people who don't know what Pokemon games are worth and selling them for really cheap. If you've played certain Pokemon games many times before to the point you don't have to read them, consider buying Japanese versions of the games. The max I usually see them go for is $40, maybe $50. Do keep in mind that Japanese versions of Gen 5 games won't work on a Nintendo 3DS, since the Nintendo 3DS is region locked. However, any Gen 4 Japanese game will work on a 3DS no matter of region. And of course, if you have an old DS model that's not region locked, then you can use any Japanese games on those. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. It would be great if you guys could like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. And if I missed anything, or if this video helped you, make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know all about it. See you guys next time.